Hi muckers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing very well. Yet again, we have Woody joining us today. He loves this sofa, and whether or not I want to film here is where he is going to be sitting. So anyways, hi, do you have anything to say? Can you see him? Do you have anything to say? Absolutely not. So last night we were live on Twitch and we were reacting to Ned Fulmer's new video, which was like an addressing everything type beat. And it was him basically talking about the backlash he got for doing episode 1 of his Rock Bottom new podcast with his wife Ariel. And now, if you want to hear my full thoughts on that, I would go and watch that video. I felt like I was in a hostage situation actually watching it. I commonly do with a Ned Fulmer video. But it did get me thinking. And so, as you all know, the last couple days we've been doing these videos where I'm kind of going through like my notes on situations and kind of talking about them. And I was really inspired last night to kind of do like a little bit of a deep dive into the Try Guys and basically how Ned Fulmer really affected the Try Guys and basically how they responded to such a scandal. Because if you think about it, Ned Fulmer was such a integral part of the Try Guys. He was there the entire time. There wasn't that many Try Guys, and they were one of the most successful pivots from BuzzFeed. But more importantly, I would say that Ned Fulmer really affected the brand of the Try Guys because the entire time that he was in the Try Guys, he was known as the wife guy. He was literally known as the wife guy. So I mean, of course, we could have seen this coming. That, of course, the one who's preaching loving his wife is the one who's going to fuck an employee at the company. And so, obviously, there's so many layers to that as well, that basically one of the bosses and one of the talent is, sleeping and cheating and having an affair with one of the employees. There's so many layers to this. So, basically, what I've done is this kind of deep dive looking into how Ned Fulmer affected the Try Guys. So, let's get into it. So, it's important to note as well that the Try Guys, kind of like the David Dobrik's of the world, are commonly known as like the nice guys and the fun guys and the good guys. So it's important to note already that like the reputation of the Try Guys are very liked on the internet. So I think any of them doing anything was shocking to people because they were so likable. Now again, it was the 4 of them and they really built an empire off of their friendship and their close-knit personalities, and they were really successful. They come to mind. Sophia comes to mind. These successful people who were at BuzzFeed who then left BuzzFeed. I'm also working on a video of the downfall of BuzzFeed when it comes to these creators. God, I'm really on a tangent whenever it comes to these little deep dive videos. I'm having so much fun with them because I get to then, stream and do... You good? I get to stream and do these topics, and then I get to sit here and do little things, on my own accord. I love it. Thank you for watching these. Anyways, so it's interesting to note that this was the perspective of the Try Guys, and obviously behind the scenes, little did we know that one of them, I mean, we don't know any of them, but at least one of them publicly, came out to be the complete opposite of what the public's perception was of you. And the problem is, whenever the public have a perception of you and you don't live up to it, for better or for worse, you will face such ramifications for that because you have fundamentally let people down. You have let people down. Now, I think what's interesting to note about Ned Fulmer, the wife guy, having an affair with one of the employees was that there were so many elements to it. The number one element was the fans feeling almost cheated, for better for worse, the wording there, because again, they only knew him as the guy who was so devoted to his wife, almost to a fault. Like, he was almost annoying how much he loved his wife. So that was a big crack in the system. And I think as well that it's important to note that he wasn't just necessarily cheating on Ariel, he was kind of cheating on the branding and the company as a whole. And that really is something that you cannot come back from, specifically in the public perspective. He cheated essentially on the company, his wife for sure, the friends that he had made in this company, the other guys that were in the Try Guys, and honestly, the biggest thing of all, other than Ariel, obviously, whenever we're talking about the Try Guys, ow, you motherfucker, ow! Can you see this little bitch biting me? Ow! No, what? Look how he tries to be so sweet after it. Oh my goodness, you little bitch. Anyways, other than obviously the most important factor here, which was that the biggest impact was obviously on Ariel and his family and kids, I think as well that he really shattered and cheated on the entire reputation and image that the Try Guys had built up together. And I can't imagine how frustrating, upsetting, and betraying it was for the other guys when he did this and they have no control over it. But obviously it affects everyone. It affects the brand. Like, what do you mean you've done this? You're affecting our company. You're affecting our bag. You're affecting our career. We're in the mainstream news because of what you did. You know what I mean? And they have no control over it. I just think as well that whenever it comes to the Try Guys and how they responded to it, this became a bigger story than just Ned Fulmer cheating on his wife or having an affair. It really showed so many layers to basically how the image of the Try Guys was affected by this. So if we go back to the early days of the Try Guys, obviously, as we know, the Try Guys started BuzzFeed 2014, 15, 2014, I think it was. And they were basically, you know, these four guys who were doing these challenges. They were close friends. They were traveling the world. They were eating different foods. They were trying different clothes. They were experiencing different cultures. They were doing all these different videos. And I think their appeal, honestly, was that they all had such different individual personalities. And whenever they came together, it all fit perfectly rather than clashing. I think as well, ultimately, they were very endearing because they were all quite fucking awkward. And I think that the internet, specifically back in 2014, really loved that kind of like awkward, like I'm not like the rest, you know, humor. And I think that it was just like, it was a gold mine. And also it is important to note as well that like they are funny, which is attractive to people. And also I would say that Eugene, for me, was one of my gay awakenings. Oh my fucking God. Eugene, definitely a gay awakening for me. Genuinely one of my first gay thoughts. So there we have it. So obviously they were a huge success for BuzzFeed, and I would argue that they really quickly became one of the most profitable things for BuzzFeed. And I don't actually think that's that crazy to say. And I think very quickly they outgrew what BuzzFeed could do for them. And I think that they were bigger than BuzzFeed at a certain stage. You know, the same way with like Sophia. And this is why we saw the infamous, remember the like why I left BuzzFeed videos? Now, I think because they were so awkward and they were so, you know, just friends, they came across more so as just like normal people, which was more enjoyable to watch rather than, you know, like an influencer as we know it now. They were very, very, very relatable. Yes, yes, yes. Come on. Are you going to bite me again, you motherfucker? If I do this, you will. Yep. He's such a little bitch. He's in his teenage phase, little silly monkey. Cheeky, little bitch. Anyways, so I think that was an immediate success considering all of the things that we just talked about. I think as well that they weren't particularly like talented at anything, and I don't mean that in a shady way, but again, just made them very endearing and very normal guys, which kind of fit this branding of like the Try Guys. Like they're going to try things, they're probably not going to be good at it. It was very entertaining and very endearing to watch. And you got to pick your favorite Try Guy, and there were different dynamics, and you could find yourself relating to one of them. It was a recipe for just perfection and the ultimate brand, and they were very, very, very brand safe, which is a very important thing to note, which is very important for these kind of people as well. They also came from BuzzFeed. What are they going to be, you know, not brand friendly? Oh, my lighting has just went down. Come on, lighting. You can come back. It's okay. It's so great. You would think I have a ring light. In actuality, I literally have a YouTube video in front of me that's called Ring Light. So anyways, they ended up leaving BuzzFeed, and I think that this was very obviously going to happen. They became bigger than BuzzFeed, and also there were so many issues with BuzzFeed with creative control and money, and we can deep dive the why I left BuzzFeed videos, but ultimately it was more profitable and better for them in longevity to leave the company. And we saw so many people leave the company at this time. At one stage, the why I left BuzzFeed video was like the new like coming out video of like the 2014s. Remember when everyone was making their coming out videos? I was crying at Ingrid Nelson's one. Oh my goodness, we gotta bring those back. So anyways, they started a Second Try LLC, and a lot of this felt very, very, very revolutionary because it felt like, for me, I don't know about you, but it felt like one of the first YouTubers I had seen kind of like making the move to make themselves a brand. Like they were leaving BuzzFeed to create their own brand. And I remember being so inspired by that and being like, wow, this is a company, this is a whatever. And it kind of changed the tune of the Try Guys. It never made me not like them, but it made me, you know, realize that, wow, these are one of the first YouTubers to really, really, really make it. And, you know, they're leaving a company that they were, you know, working at because they became bigger and they're now creating their own company. I think for a lot of people, it was almost a revolutionary moment in YouTube, I would be honest, because they were taking control of their work. They were taking control of their trademark. And again, like the Why I Left BuzzFeeds of all of the other creators, you know, this was a big deal. They were taking back control. They were going to do what they want. They were hiring their own staff. They were building their own studios. They were building their own props. They were funding themselves. They were launching podcasts. They had a cooking series. They were doing documentaries. They even landed a Food Network show as well. It was now a production company, and they never once lost that level of like authenticity because you grew up with them and you watched the journey, and their image up until this point was the thing that really was keeping them grounded in their fan base, which ultimately Ned would shatter. So I think the perspective of them going from 4 silly dudes who don't know what they're doing, just hired by BuzzFeed, to 4, you know, directors of a company, you know, really solidified them in the industry as well. And again, no worries. Oh my God. Do you want me to move my computer over here then? They really did just become very, very, very mainstream, but the audience were a part of their journey. And if an audience is a part of a journey, they're here for the ride. And I think that that is so important. I just think as well that I cannot stress enough that they all had their own personalities, they all had their own quirks, and Ned Fulmer specifically, again, was being the wife guy. He literally was the wife guy. If you ever watch the Try Guys, you know that he was known as the wife guy. And his entire personality was just that I'm a husband. His entire personality was I love my wife Ariel. I will do anything for her. Almost looking back, it almost feels like he was masking for something, which, I mean, fucking clearly. He would mention her in every joke. He would mention her in every video. His entire fucking personality was his wife, which makes this so ironic. He would also make her part of the content. You know, she would be part of the merch. She'd be part of the company. She'd be part of the podcast. She'd be part of the cooking shows. He made her such an important part of the company because he brought her up so much, and his entire identity and bit was being the wife guy, which ultimately was their biggest downfall. It was part of the brand, so of course the brand is going to suffer whenever we now know what happens. They also did a cookbook together, the Date Night Cookbook, and also they were seen as like the blueprint, healthy fucking relationship and healthy marriage. And I think ultimately this all worked against the Try Guys in the end because one of the biggest pieces of lore ended up being a total fucking sham because of one member of the Try Guys. Oh, not good, not good, not good, not good, not good. So anyways, it's important to note as well that while he was the wife guy, Ariel was also an integral part of the Try Guys. You know, the Try Guys had, you know, the fundamental 4 guys, but then there were other people involved in the universe that the fans loved. And Ariel, because she was brought up so much, was probably the number 1 person other than the Try Guys that the audience had like a parasocial relationship with. So don't fuck with her. And also, why are you the wife guy cheating on her? She was part of basically the Try Guys lore, universe, ecosystem, if you will, which ultimately made this even worse for the Try Guys whenever everything happened. So now we go to 2022, and Ned started almost being edited out of Try Guy episodes, and his disappearance was so fucking random. He literally would just stop being like a part of their uploads. And obviously, there's only fucking 4 of them. People are like, oh, what the fuck is going on? Where is one of the Try Guys? Because people didn't know at this stage, so people were almost annoyed as to where is Ned. He was not in any of the thumbnails. He was in the videos, but being edited out of the videos with angles. Sometimes he wasn't even in the fucking filming of it. He was, you know, not showing up to like podcast recordings. And then a Reddit post, which showed that Ned Fulmer was seen at a Harry Styles concert in New York City, and he was being very close, if you will, with someone who wasn't Ariel. Now, this Reddit post did do the rounds, but it didn't have a level of validity to it, and people kind of thought that it was rumors, gossip, or not true. But literally within fucking 24, 48 hours, things would escalate so fucking much. because photos and videos surface of Ned at a bar in New York City kissing and being very close, if you will, with one of the employees, Alexandria Herring, who was, by the way, an associate producer who also starred in their Food Babies series. So now people have put two and two together. Ned was at the Harry Styles concert being very flirty with this employee. Oh my God, he's at a romantic dinner with this employee. They're being very close. Oh my God, who is that? We know you. You're part of the Try Guys fucking production team. This was huge. I was in New York when this dropped. I think it was September 2022. I was there for my birthday. I remember meeting up with my friend Kat for fucking lunch, and it was all we talked about because it was unfucking believable. What do you mean the wife guy? The wife guy. What do you mean? So anyways, I would say that people started connecting the Reddit posts very, very, very quickly, and also these photos and Alexandria and Ned and him not being in the videos anymore. Him not being in the videos anymore, and it very, very, very quickly painted the picture that Ned was cheating on his wife, Ariel, and that actually the wife guy was a piece of shit. So anyways, we go on, right? Because not only was Ned Fulmer, married to Ariel, but Alex was also engaged to her longtime fiance, who was called Will. So both of these people were in relationships. So as the internet was finding out about this, so was Ariel and Will, which is not good that your partners are finding out about them being cheated on when the internet are as well. So anyways, apparently it's speculated that, Alexandria, the one who was, cheating with Ned, that her fiance found out with the internet, and this was after, fans were sending him, photos and Reddit posts and stuff, and he unfollowed her and wiped his Instagram of photos of them together and with her, which of course the internet was, this was like, oh my God, this is confirmed. And then people realized that, Ned has been removed from, the videos of the Try Guys. Oh my God, we're putting two and two together. He also was, being cut from advertisements they were doing, campaigns they were doing. And very quickly people realized, oh my God, this is fucking real. People started oh my God, it was riots. It was fucking riots to get this confirmed by the Try Guys, Ned, Ariel, Alexandria, Will, fucking anybody. The internet was blowing up about this. Reddit, if you were on Reddit in September 2022, oh my God. So, on September 27, 2022, 3 days before my birthday, I was correct about my birthday trip, the Try Guys released a statement, and it was basically saying that Ned Fulmer is no longer working with the Try Guys. And that statement was enough to basically erupt the internet. People who watch the Try Guys, people who used to watch the Try Guys, people in the YouTube community, people, oh my God, everyone got involved with this. Because what the fuck do you mean? You're the wife guy. It was fucking bonkers, dude. Now, very quickly after that, Ned ended up posting his own, statement, apology. And he said that family should have always been his priority, but I lost focus and had a consensual workplace relationship. Crazy, by the way. Now, it also basically confirmed that what he did was true, and literally the image of the Try Guys and the image that Ned had created was fucking shattered. The husband guy cheated on his wife, who works at the company, with an employee who works at the company. Hello? Now, Ariel was still working at the company when this was going on. Alexandria was working on the baby food series. This was happening in front of everyone. It was crazy. It's like your friends are the people that are fucking your husband. It's crazy. And basically the public rallied behind Will and rallied behind Ariel because they were having to deal with this so publicly when they didn't want any of this. Now, a few days later, Zach, Keith, and Eugene posted their What Happened video. It was very, 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 serious. It was very professional. It was a very hard watch, I would say. They basically were confirming that they were going to be doing an internal review about what happened and that HR was now involved. and that they had fired Ned once they confirmed the relationship. So basically they jumped to letting the audience know that we have already acted on this, do not worry. But still, the image of the Try Guys was really fucking shattered because it put everything into question, and also it gave such a mainstream spotlight on the Try Guys that they had not seen since probably their peak at BuzzFeed. So now they were in the mainstream media, they were being parodied on SNL, I'm pretty sure, and stuff like this because of a situation that their Ned did, you know? It was crazy. So they also basically said that they couldn't talk about things legally, but they wanted to make it clear that they felt betrayed. And in this video, I don't know if you remember, Eugene sat like this. And sat in fucking silence and had a fucking death stare, and it was fucking intimidating as shit. You could feel how angry he was and how much he hated Ned, and it was an intense watch. And again, this further fueled, you know, all the drama. And I think that, you know, Keith had a little bit more anger in the video. I would say that Zach was a little bit more calm, and then Eugene just didn't say a single thing. But it was very, very, very clear that these guys had been wronged, that they didn't know this was happening, because a lot of people were like, did the guys know what happened? I think they're very lucky that people believed that they didn't know this was going on, because it was them being betrayed rather than them hiding that this happened. If it had came out that they were aware of this, I think the Try Guys would have been completely over. But luckily, that was not the case. Now, I think as well that it's important to note at this stage that they reacted very quickly. They reacted very properly, quite professionally, quite stern. They made a decision to remove him from the company. And I think this quick acting, because of how quick things move in the media, and the media was on this, really saved them from a further fall, because it looked like, wow, the rest of the guys are great because they were willing to act on this when a friend did this to them. They're not trying to cover for their friend. But Ned put them in this position, and he's such a dick for doing that. You know what I mean? It really is. It's unbelievable. So anyways, we continue, okay? We go on. Let me see. So when we think of the public reaction to this, I do think that it could have gone one of two ways. Their careers could have all been over because of this, or not. We have seen now that the guys are still thriving, and I think that that is because their willingness to hold their friend accountable, and the audience trusted them. I think with Ned, the way that he acts with the podcasts that we're watching and stuff, it shows a level of arrogance, self-absorption, and narcissism that it is now easily able to support the Try Guys, because you can be like, oh, Ned was always the problem, we're now seeing it. Now, if we look back on the Try Guys, it is also important to note that if we're being honest, Ned was the one that brought the least to the table. So he's the one that if he was to go solo, like he is now doing Try Guys content on his own, obviously it's going to be the least successful, because he was never really interesting in the first place. His entire bit, his literal entire bit was being husband. So we don't even know, this man could be walking past me in the street. I don't fucking know who he is. You know what I mean? It worked when he was in the group, but on his own, you have nothing. I just think that I saw a comment, and we talked about this yesterday, where someone was like, why does he have to be in front of the camera? You know, he's doing a podcast, Rock Bottom. He's doing a YouTube series where he's doing Try Guy content, and it's just him. Why does he need to be in front of the camera? People are like, he can't get another job. Yes, he can, number one, and I think he should. But also, he could be a production assistant. He could be a behind-the-scenes person. I think there goes to show something about his ego that he has to still be in front of the camera. And also, we're not entitled to support you just because we supported you in the past. Now, I think as well, not only was there so many layers to this, but I think the layer of kind of abusing the fact that you're the boss in the situation and you're sleeping with an employee behind your wife's back added a level as well that really disgusted people, and fucking as it should. The Try Guys, you know, pushed forward. They continued making content. Obviously, as we know, Ariel and Ned did the podcast together. They made statements together. They were seen in public together after this. But how did this affect the Try Guys? You know, they continued to move forward. It was very, very, very awkward. They really wouldn't address it. And if they would, it would be like a sly joke. It was clearly something that affected them. These guys are very publicly going through losing a friend and also losing a business partner, which is like legally messy as well. And someone that there's only 4 of them that know how the 4 of them, made it and all of their stories. And now morally you can't be friends with one of them, and morally someone betrayed you like that. So they're going through this very, very, very publicly as well. And I think as well that Eugene completely pulled back from the Try Guys as well. And, Keith and Zach are really like playing forward with it. And I think that it was very clear that this really, really, really affected Eugene. And I just think that in the end, the Try Guys brand continued to succeed and didn't fail. But I think that was because Ned Fulmer was never really the reason it was successful in the first place. And ultimately, Ned Fulmer should have because again, the only way in this social media sphere that he would have continued to be successful was if he was the wife guy. But his ego got ahead of him. And yeah, we will leave it there. Let me know your thoughts on this full saga. We were filming the video last night, and I really did think to kind of do this, and I'm glad I did because it was interesting going back and revisiting everything because it has been 2 years now. Let me know your thoughts. I'll see you in my next one. He's sleeping again, little sleepy head over here. I will see you in my next one. I hope you're all doing very well, and goodbye.